Welcome to Opinion Havers, a movie podcast for intra-Asian rivals. I'm Cody.
And I'm
Tyler, what did we watch?
We watched Mortal Kombat.
I need the Bergstrom cut of
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. And it's just you doing all the music and all the sound effects.
It's just me like, as they're fighting.
They're like doing exposition. You're like,
I'll like put myself in front of a green screen and put it in the bottom of the corner and be like, like waving my arms with the music. Yeah.
Tyler, is this your first Mortal Kombat movie? Is this your maiden voyage on the Mortal Kombat ship?
No. I mean, we all saw the old one. It's not good.
Okay.
There's no cartwheel.
But did you see the sequel to the old one that was so much worse than the original?
I don't think I ever saw that one because here's the thing. That one's rated R. So is the original one, right?
No, the original one's not rated R. I don't think
PG.
the sequel is either.
Is it not?
I think that's one thing people didn't like about them is they're like, oh, this should be super gory, and instead it's like PG-13.
I played Mortal Kombat growing up.
Nice. Mortal Kombat. No, they're both PG-13.
No, I never saw the second one. I think I saw pieces of it on like Spike TV.
Yeah. Oh, we all did.
Yeah. I was very upset about a casting choice in this new film.
Is it because Raiden is not a white man?
That's one of them.
This Asian guy should be a white man. I don't understand.
Everybody knows it's an old white man.
Everyone knows it's Christopher Lambert, all right?
Yeah.
It is the Highlander. He is the only one that could ever play Raiden.
He's the Raiden. He's the white man.
So just fun fact, just to tee it up. This is a beloved video game franchise, right?
Right.
It's been around for a long time. It's the reason we have ratings in video games because all the parents were like, this is far too much. This should not be allowed.
Yes.
Anyway, kind of like Indiana Jones and what's the Red Dawn were the same thing for movies.
Yeah.
Whereas like we need something in between PG and R. Anyway.
Yeah.
Point is, the original movie has a 60 on Metascore, which is so much better than you might think.
Yes.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the sequel, which had a bunch of people recast, by the way, has an 11 on Metascore. So that kind of tells you the drop off. To me, a young me, these are some of my favorite movies from my childhood. They're both perfect. We all know that's the truth. No one out here is sharing. Anyway, we have rebooted it. All right. We are 20-some years in the future, and it's a new day, a new Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Tyler, how'd it go for you?
It's so good. It's so good.
Let me give us. You know what? Let me give us a little plot synopsis.
You're gonna do it?
This is I think I need to take the reins here. It's what everyone else doesn't understand. Mortal Kombat with a K.
Yes.
Okay. There are several realms. There's not just Earth realm. We got Outworld, Nether realm. The other ones no one cares about. And every so often, however many moons, there's a tournament called Mortal Kombat where each realm sends its champions. And for some reason, if you win 10 in a row, you get to take over the other world.
Yeah.
Those are the stakes we're dealing with.
As I understand,
Yes.
the loose threads of story that link it all together is the elder gods, of which Raiden is one, are like, y'all are killing each other all the time to conquer each other.
Yeah.
And we're done. We're over it. We don't want to deal with it anymore. We hate all of you. So, Mortal Kombat. And then they left. And they gave no other instructions. And so that's how we got the tournament.
I watched a 20-minute video of a dude who explained the plot of every Mortal Kombat game. It was well worth my time. Let me tell you.
Did I nail it?
Oh no, you definitely did. It's fascinating because it's either you're fighting the tournament or it's Outworld is like, screw this tournament, we're gonna do this. we're gonna break all the rules and do this our own, you know?
Yeah, because they're the bad boy.
Yeah, they're the bad boy world. Every boy band has a bad boy. Every intergalactic death tournament has a bad boy, and that's Outworld.
Yeah.
Basically, every single Mortal Kombat game is it Shao Kahn? What's his name?
Yeah.
The bad guy. We all know it. We don't need to say it because we all know it.
Shang Tsung.
Always the bad guy.
Steal your soul. Your soul is mine.
Yeah, 70% of the Mortal Kombat games is there's a tournament. And Liu Kang defeats Shang Tsung. That's it. That's basically almost every single one where it's like, all right, Liu Kang, he's the sweet boy, the guy who does it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me tell you, I enjoyed this movie. I thought they captured the essence of Mortal Kombat pretty well. They balanced some rather difficult things. A game with an absurd plot. They turned it into a somewhat comprehensible 2-hour movie. I enjoyed this. Let me tell you who enjoyed it more. Bailey.
Whoa.
My wife, and she doesn't do R-rated movies, really. Every now and again, I might get her to watch one if it's like, you know, the right one. Yeah. This was not what I was trying to get her to watch. She's like, no, I'll watch it.
That's what my wife said too.
Not only did she like it, she was like trying to get her parents to watch it. we were with her parents, and she was like, have you guys seen the new Mortal Kombat? You should watch the new Mortal Kombat. She was like explaining why she liked it. I was like, what? She's out peddling this movie to people. Her parents, not even just like other, you know, randos on the street.
Yeah.
Grandmas and grandpas. She's trying to get to watch this movie.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. I love this movie.
This movie's not going to win an Oscar.
Should, though.
But it should.
It should.
So that's where we're at. Is there anything we need to dive into?
I mean, we got to dive into stuff. All the stuff.
Yeah.
But
before we do, did I miss anything?
I don't know. I feel it could be worth mentioning. We did watch it on HBO Max, not in the theater.
Okay, yeah.
Although I think I am going to go see it in the theaters just because I like seeing the
I think the sound would be really cool in theater. I noticed so I ended up watching it twice. That's how good it is. So good. I noticed a lot more like sound design stuff that I was like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah, so, I like that a lot too. I noted that. I was like, noted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. So I might try to convince my wife to, because she was like, watch the trailer for it. And she's like, yeah, I might want to watch this with you. And I was like, really? This is Mortal Kombat. I hadn't seen the trailer. I wanted to go into it blind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is Mortal Kombat. So here's what I know. There's going to be blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And people are going to get ripped in half.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I don't think I'd seen a full trailer, but I'd seen like the spot trailer where it's like, oh, Sub-Zero's in this. Oh, Scorpion's in this. And that's all I knew.
Yeah.
I was pretty pleased with it overall.
Yeah.
I was mostly stressed out about it the whole time. So I'm like, I don't think Bailey, because I was like advocating for her not to watch. I'm like, you're not going to enjoy this. It's going to go so bad. By the end, she's like, I really like that. I think it helps. She doesn't do well with the violence. Doesn't like F words.
There are 53.
There are plenty of F words, but the violence is so stylized that I think she was cool with it. Because so much of it was like, oh, this dude's CG ripped in half, you know?
Yeah.
As opposed to like, you know, the more realistic something is, the harder it is to watch. Yeah. And when something's just like so over the top and ridiculous, you're like, well, this is just fun now.
Yeah. Where it does seem like all they really did was they took, for most of the really gory fatalities, they're like, let's take the already super good looking video game stuff and just kind of pass that off to a movie effects studio and say, hey, I need you to just take this up another level to where it looks more realistic.
I am pretty I mean, the last decade, I feel like, I mean, it's a shame these movies have come out during the pandemic, but like we watched Godzilla vs. King Kong recently. We did
Star Wars Episode 2.
Stop. Just did Mortal Kombat. Like these movies, I feel like they're really starting to nail the CG. Yeah. They're getting really good at making these like practical elements mesh really well with CG elements, even like the CG gore and stuff. Like it's all looking really good. I feel like we're getting out of the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
I feel like the last 10 years, the really good movies have looked good, but a lot of blockbuster movies have like just not hit the mark. We've talked about it all the time, but like you have to know the limitations of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like now they're like really honing in on, the technology is really catching up to what our vision is.
Yeah. I've felt like the key to it really has been, because I don't know how much of, like, if you watch Avatar versus this, I think their actual models look just as good, but what they've gone so much better on is the lighting and making the lighting look good and using the shadows to cover up something that might not look as good versus being able to shine the spotlight on stuff that they're like, we know this is going to hold up, but we know that won't. So
yeah, no, that's a good point.
And just being a little more careful with that, you know, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So just
I'm ready.
Ride the lightning, you know, and just straddle this lightning bolt with me.
Yes.
And let's ride it into spoilers. Spoiler realm.
Yeah.
USA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. I mean, let's just go right into it. First off, the music. Mortal Kombat, the original movie, had one thing and one thing only going for it. And that is the song at the end credits that they peppered throughout the series, you know, throughout the, that was the highlight. And I feel like this movie, some scenes better than others, but especially in the opening scene, I noticed like, oh, they kind of took that influence and made really cool fight music. It's like sort of techno-y, tiny bit dubstep-y, but it's a film score. Yeah. I really appreciated it. They used music I thought really well. I think I read something about like the guy who did music for this movie was like, oh, I'm a huge fan of Mortal Kombat, and I am thrilled at the opportunity to take some of the music from the games, from the movie, from whatever, and like bake it into this.
Yeah, I mean that'd be like a dream come true if you like grew up playing these games and you're like, this is my favorite music in a game, and then they're like, do you want to do the music? And you're like, yes, I will pay you for me to do the music. Yeah,
and I think the first time I watched it too, I was kind of like, oh, they did a great job remixing that kind of track at the end. But I didn't get it during the middle. But watching it this time, I was like, oh no, they did some good job with that music. I just didn't notice it as much my first watch through.
Yeah. Do you know who did the music off the top of your head? I've got it.
No, I don't.
I got it. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at his. Oh. He did the music for. He was a composer on Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
The Invisible Man.
So this guy, they're just like, hey, remember these old things with beloved soundtracks? Dunkirk. Can you recapture that vibe in a modern way? Because he did Blade Runner 2049.
Moon
was amazing. Oh, Moon was good too.
Yeah, he did a lot of movies and a lot of ones I don't recognize that I think you like a lot.
Wow. Wait, what's his name?
Benjamin Wallfish.
That guy's not even on our radar, and he's done some of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's like a composer or something, so there's probably the music director on a lot of them.
I've always said this. There are 3 music composers. Michael Giacchino, Ludwig von Göransson, and what's the guy who did Interstellar? Hans Zimmer. Those are like the only 3 that anyone uses these days. But this dude, he's got some credits.
Yeah.
It was nice to catch up on other ones just because it really does seem like all the big movies use the same 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. He's a composer, 47 credits.
It's like, with how many movies these people do, I don't know how they have time to do anything else, you know?
Well, I think a lot of them have got to be, because, you know, you and I recently have looked on like sites that have stock music. So I do wonder how much that is. I'm sure there's those kinds of sites that are for huge budget movies where Hans Zimmer has like a thing that you can go and listen to and pick. Like, I need this. And then there's the next level where he comes in, you show him a scene and he composes music for your movie.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's just got such a huge breadth of work that he has done that most of it is people just picking from his already made stuff. Wouldn't you think?
No. I mean, I see where you're going from. Maybe there's things you can stitch together, but like the thing about that, the problem is the timing. Because you put together a movie before you put the music in, and then you have to put the music in and make the music match each beat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When the person looks up in hope, you have to have the music supporting that. Or when they look down in despair, you have to have the music recording it at the right moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there's some movies that I feel like don't have that.
They're just
level
like
of
this
detail.
is the music vibe for the scene, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
Where it's more like them being like, this is the opening credits or music in that, And then there's the movies where, he's got to sit there with his orchestra. Like, what's the movie where, was it Hans Zimmer or another guy who's like, they had the movie up and he like directed the orchestra to play when he thought they should play or something. And it was like, that's how they recorded it, where he basically composed it on the fly.
That'd be cool.
It was,
what was that? I don't remember.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah,
We've talked about I think it's a movie we watched, so I feel like it'd be a Nolan movie.
A what?
One of the Christopher Nolan movies, right?
Be. So, yeah. Fight music was cool. The first fight scene, I think, has a really good intro to the movie. And because the idea of Mortal Kombat is like, 1v1 fights, whatever, tournament. I thought it was a cool way to expand on that. And you're like, okay, there's a dude, he's here to assassinate a guy, and he's going to fight out his henchmen, blah, blah, blah. So I liked the way he used the kunai with the rope. That's cool.
Yeah.
He stabs a man through the top of his head with a sword.
Yeah.
Did a little blood gargle. It was a lot. But it was pretty cool. I do think it was funny. When your movie spells combat with a K, it can only be so sophisticated. I thought it was funny in the beginning. I didn't quite understand why they were feuding, but the guy, Sub-Zero, pops up, or the guy who becomes Sub-Zero, and it's like, I'm here to wipe you out, bro, for my clan or whatever, bro. And the guy who becomes Scorpion is like, I don't speak whatever you're speaking, but let me say my stuff. And I thought it was funny because at first I didn't get it because Sub-Zero speaks and it says something in subtitles, then it says in parentheses Chinese.
Yeah.
And then later, when Scorpion says something, it's like Japanese. I'm like, oh, they don't understand each other. So why are they talking to each other?
Well, Scorpion, not Scorpion. Sub-Zero says stuff, like he'll say something in Chinese and then say something in Japanese.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it's like them saying.
Does he? Because I thought.
Yeah, because
I thought Scorpion at one point is like, I don't know what you're saying, but.
That's what I say. So he said that in Chinese. He said the stuff that Scorpion was like, I don't know what you're saying in Chinese. But that's why it got the vibe to me where it's like he said that because like it's like a mantra, like this is why I'm doing this.
I did not understand.
For you.
Did you understand why their two clans were fighting?
To me, it was just the whole thing with them is they're the last of two ninja clans that were feuding. I don't know if it's ever been even in the wildest lore of the game stated why.
I know that a lot of Asia doesn't like Japan because they've done their pillaging. Yeah. But at that point, wasn't Japan still isolationist? Like Japan didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like centuries ago, Japan was still, didn't really venture out of Japan much, did they?
No, see, back then it would have been China raiding them. So, yeah, I think it's just the generic, two ninja clans fighting.
Yeah.
But one's Chinese, so it wouldn't be Ninja Clan. Because ninjas, are they only Japanese?
Ninjas are Japanese. Okay. In Japan, you got the samurai, and you have the shinobi, or ninjas. And the samurai are like, hey, we're very organized. I'm the lord of this township. I serve my master, and we are protecting the people of our whatever, and we war with other clans of samurai, and the samurai are like the warriors. Yeah. Binny's doing her little sleep barks.
Is she gonna be all right?
Yeah, she's fine.
She's fine. Okay.
She's just barking at something in her dream, and it's just spilling out a little bit. And then you have the ninja, the samurai have their code of honor, Bushido and everything, and like we believe in this and that and that. And then the ninja are like, that's cool, or you can hire me and I'll stab someone in the neck in the dark.
Yeah.
And so samurai are like ninja because ninja have no honor, but ninja are also like, I will get the job done and you can pay me to do it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Because they were peasants. That was the big thing. The lords are the samurai and the peasants were ninjas. It's like the knights and the rangers in the classic European stuff,
Yeah.
Where, like you said, everything you said, they're sneaky little buggers.
Yeah.
Except for in these kinds of things where they both have samurai swords and you don't know what they are.
Yeah. So they fight. It's pretty cool.
Scorpion kills a lot of guys.
He does. Can't kill Sub-Zero though.
Can't do it. Sub-Zero's magic.
Yeah. That
He controls.
Sub-Zero get his magic because he was a chosen dragon guy?
Sub-Zero got his magic because he's Sub-Zero. That's what you don't understand.
All right. Now I get it.
I'll tell you what I'd forgotten though.
What?
Scorpion's like finisher move where he takes off his mask, breathes fire. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I was like, Scorpion's, he got done in. That's the whole thing with him.
Yeah.
And he's comes back from hell
Mm-hmm.
to fight.
So he's got a little skull face and he'll burn you with fire.
I forgot about
He
that.
knows how to do it. Yeah.
1000% forgot. Because I've played a bit of the recent games, which apparently stories have been on point.
Oh, cool.
And they've been nuts and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what sparked the movie was 10 kind of dabbled in the let's try to add a story to it. And then 11, everybody's like, this is the best video game story ever told. And it's in a dumb fighting game.
Yeah.
And so
That's
they're
cool.
like, we should write a movie.
Mm-hmm. So that's the intro, and the whole thing is there's a prophecy that Hanzo, who is Scorpion, his bloodline will be able to save Earth realm in the next Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So they stow their baby away. So Sub-Zero's like, ended your line. I did a great job. And he's like, just kidding. You didn't kill my baby. So that's now we jump ahead into modern day. Some dude named Cole, and he's a cage fighter, and he's not very good at it now.
He used to be the best.
He won a belt from that dude.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
You won the belt from Dave.
Oh, yeah. We all remember Dave and his famous leg sweep crossfade.
Here's the thing with the you won the belt. And that was a long time ago. It always feels like it loses something when the person's like, 30. And they're like, you were the best. That was many years ago. It's like, all right. It couldn't have been very many years ago.
You're still fighting.
Yeah. Couldn't
You
have
were
been
still
too
a
many.
cage fighter.
Yeah.
Also, $200. That's not that much money for someone who had won a belt at one point.
But that was a long time ago.
Like, we're talking 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, Cole's in there. He's got his wife. He's got his daughter. His daughter's his corner man.
I forgot. Did you recognize this guy?
Oh, yeah. It's one of my fun facts.
Oh,
do you want to bring it up now?
I can bring it up now.
I was going to make you guess, but then you saw it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been bugging me.
There. Okay, so the guy who plays Cole.
Yeah.
He's in the movie we have seen and we have reviewed.
Yes.
What movie is that?
I forgot. It's Deadpool.
Deadpool 2. He plays Shatterstar, the like Asian alien whatever dude on Deadpool's X-Force.
Yeah. He's like you, but better in every way.
Yeah.
And they just want an alien that's a little bit worse than us in every way.
That blew my mind when I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
So that made me very, very happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, he loses his cage fight somewhat bad. He gets crunched. Here's the thing. He basically had that guy in like an arm bar. But then like they cut to the next thing and the guy's just like out of it. I'm like, how did he slip out? It looked like he was about to lock him in.
He wiggled out. They showed it.
Anyway,
He spun out.
I was not convinced. And then I thought it was funny because he had a really good chokehold on Cole. And someone's like, don't tap out. I'm like, bro, if someone has you locked and is choking you out, that is the time, He was in a position where he's like, I don't know. I don't think it was an arm bar, but it's like, yeah, he had you.
Yeah, it was an arm bar with his like neck, like also choking him out.
Yeah, so just like, that is the one time when you are allowed to tap out because you're not getting out of that.
That was my note. Don't tap out, you coward. Credited to Cole's daughter to Cole as he's dying.
I cannot believe that. I was like, bro, what are you were the worst corner man I've ever seen.
I also
don't tap out. Just pass. You're knocked out.
Don't tap
Take
out.
the brain damage. Take it.
I'm like this. Every other movie about a fighter is like, just tap out, and they refuse until they die.
This do you ever see Warrior?
No, but isn't that the whole thing with that he would?
Spoilers for Warrior. Okay, this is really a spoiler. So if you need to, we're in spoiler realm, so it's fine. But skip ahead like 90 seconds if you are gonna watch Warrior. You don't want it spoiled. So the whole thing about Warrior is it's two brothers that fight, and one's like washed up, like Cole Young, and then the other guy's like doing really well. It's like his younger brother or something. So they end up fighting together, going for like a championship and like a invitation and like a open tournament kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, the brother breaks the younger brother's arm, and the dude is still fighting with like a dislocated shoulder and is just like swinging one arm only. It's like, bruh, give up the fight. Your arm is dislocated. Yeah. So that's what this reminded me of. It's like, yeah, no, dude, you're done. You're not going to win this fight at this stage.
So, yeah. I just want to tell you, my first notes are like my favorite notes I took. It's from the pre-Scorpion, pre-Sub-Zero fight, right?
Yeah.
I wrote, ha, got him. Oh, wait. Ha, got him. And then I was just like, repeat several times. And then I said, finish him, you coward. Because he didn't do a fatality on him. He just left him to die. Oh, my goodness.
Okay. That's the thing about Sub-Zero in this movie. He is not a finisher. There are two different fights where Sub-Zero wins the fight and does not do a fatality and kill the person. Like, Sub-Zero, you have one job. You are a centuries-old ice magic ninja, okay? If anybody can kill someone, it is you. You are an assassin. That's all you're supposed to do. And instead you're like, you're pretty dead. I won. And you leave.
His fatalities are hard.
That's true. You gotta do the back, up, A, B, up, left. You're like, that's it. You mess it up a little bit, you start all over.
Yeah. That's why I like on the new games, they made it to where it's like you can try to remember all the things, put them in right, or I just hit back and B.
Yeah.
Or something, and you'll get them.
So, yeah. I spent most of this movie explaining to Bailey who everyone was. I was like, oh, I bet that's going to be this person. Oh, I was like, Kano. Oh, they fight in this movie. I did play Mortal Kombat when I was a youngin'. Way too young. I was like 5. But most of my knowledge is from the movies. But I watched Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 enough that I knew who like everybody was. So most of my thing was like, I bet that's going to be this guy. That's going to be this dude. I was confused about the main guy. And that is because Cole Young is a character they invented for the movie.
Yeah.
So he's not in any of the games.
I hope they add him to the games, though. He seems like a cool character to add. Because his power, I guess spoilers, or in the spoiler realm, is like he absorbs the energy of getting hit. And he can use that.
Yeah. Which I thought was weird because when he's fighting Goro, he uses that.
Yeah.
Then everyone else he isn't. So I was like, oh, does he... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Was that just when he was getting his powers, or is that one of his powers? You know?
I think that is one of his powers.
Because it seemed like the sound design is like, you get hit a bunch by Goro, and then that's when his like Tonfa spike things pop out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what it is. But then it doesn't appear
since.
I bet you that's what it would be in the game, is that it's just fists, and then once you get hit enough, or block enough, then you can get
That's what I was going to say, because if it was like, oh, perfect time blocks, build up power or something like that. That's what I would guess. So...
Because that's his thing. That's what the guy that was paying him $200 to fight. He's like, you got to punch, you got to attack and defend.
Yeah.
And he never defends.
Mm-hmm. And then, Jax shows up after the fight, and he's like, he does the strongman arm cross. You know, you cross your arms and push your biceps to make you look stronger.
Yeah.
The only problem is Jax is already enormous. And so I'm like, you don't need that. That's the move for a man who doesn't have the muscles, you know?
Yeah.
If you got the muscles, I think that's something this character does. But anywho, Jack shows up. He's like, hey, if you did a little better, you would have won. And he's like, oh, that's fine. I gotta go. Jack's like, don't bet your tattoo. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Jack shows up in the next scene to save him. Sub-Zero rolls up. Talk to me.
Okay, so Sub-Zero comes in, right? He makes his ice ball rain of destruction.
Yeah.
His first volley doesn't really do anything. But one poor man, one poor schmuck standing out in the street gets annihilated in the face. Oh, he doesn't get like stabbed with an ice spear. He just takes the most brutal snowball hit to the face I've ever seen in my life.
I would love to be that guy. Be like, I have one acting credit. I'm the man who was demolished by a block of ice as an extra in Mortal Kombat.
It knocks him off his feet, that puts him to the ground. And I just was like, oh my gosh, this poor man. There's other people who I'm thinking die later in the scene, but he was all I was thinking about. Was this guy. Just,
no one stays with you.
Oh.
I had speaking of the CG, I thought the icicles for Scorpion were great. They had like the frost in the windows, they had the icicles sticking up, like all kinds of ice working. It was working.
Yeah. It worked for me. For you.
Oh yeah. Jax rolls up, he's like, get in the car, we gotta go. And then he sees Sub-Zero, he's like, all right, I'll stay behind. You take the car, go to Gary, Indiana, which, come on. You can't.
Isn't that where she's from? I always
canonically? Sure. Okay.
From somewhere.
Have we talked about Gary, Indiana?
No.
All right. Here's the thing about Gary, Indiana. We have all seen The Music Man, yes?
No. Yes.
All right. Have you?
No. But for the purpose of this, yes.
Let me fill you in. Music Man is a movie about a charlatan con man who rolls up into a town and is like, hey, do my music learning method. Music instruments will be included later. Then he leaves before the instruments show up, right? Pretty cool. Anyway, one of the little kids is like, I have a lisp and everything sucks. And he's like, well, play the tuba or whatever. I don't care. Anyway, the little kid is from Gary, Indiana, or likes Gary, Indiana. So there's a song, Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana. I know somebody from Gary, Indiana. He's like, terrifying place, horrible crime rate, very small town. So anyway, those two facts, and I imagine my surprise when they're like, go to Gary, Indiana. I'm like, no, don't.
It's the crime rate.
It's supposed to be a delightful place. It's sort of like the movie Hairspray. There's a song, Good Morning, Baltimore. Baltimore's also a very scary city with a high crime rate, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So don't write a song about your city or it will have a terrible crime rate. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Anywho, Jack's like, get out of here, take your family, go to Gary, Indiana. I'll fight Sub-Zero. Pulls up the gun, doesn't shoot. Sub-Zero goes around the corner. He's like, sweet. Let me go into your territory and do this.
Yeah.
It goes bad.
Yeah. I did another quote thing here.
Talk to me.
Right? We can't afford to lose any champions. A champion before he sacrifices himself to save a worse champion.
Yeah. Jackson is like huge dude. He has done exactly 6 tours. He knows what's going on. He's like, Cole, you just lost a fight. You go save yourself. I'll handle this. Doesn't use a gun. I mean, I don't know. I guess he was kind of far. The way he had the gun, I was like, oh, it's probably some sort of cool tactical, like shoots fireballs or grenades. I think it's just a shotgun.
Yeah, it's just a shotgun.
It's just, so I guess he probably wouldn't have done any damage to Sub-Zero with how far Sub-Zero was. But it's still, you had one job, dude. You brought a gun, you brought the wrong gun for the job. Bring 2 guns. Bring 3 guns. If you're going to face Sub-Zero, get several guns for several situations.
Yeah. It's also the kind of gun that you're supposed to shoot a lot and fast.
Yeah.
And he shoots it twice.
I did like the shot where he goes to shoot Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero is like frozen the gun, so then like the little beads, the little BBs.
Yeah.
Beads? What are they? BBs? Oh. The scatter shot, the bird shot.
Yeah.
The slug. No, it's like just shot. What is it called?
I've heard them called beads, pellets.
Yeah. So the pellets just like spread out slowly and then freeze. That was really cool.
Yeah. And
they really worked hard on the ice and I appreciated it.
I felt like they were going to go with the anime move where it's like, oh, it's going so slow, but it has so much kinetic energy, Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like, this guy's freezing, but then the fist connects at like slow motion and it's like, and throws him back.
Yeah.
But that did not happen. He just broke his arms off.
Yeah, he froze his arms, broke him off, tossed him over into a dumpster, which is like, great, Sub-Zero. He is not dead.
Well, I already made a note. I said, now that's a dip dang fatality. And I was wrong.
I mean, it very well could have been. I was kind of bummed they didn't do the fatality where Sub-Zero freezes the person and then like punches him into a million ice cubes.
Yeah. Even they just did it to like Dave, like a random security guard or something.
I mean, freezing off the arms is really cool.
Yeah.
Is about as good. And they do the one where Sub-Zero is like frozen and then he goes away. So there's like you end up punching like the frozen statue of him, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jax is out of here for a little bit. Cole does go to Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, he
Bless his
does.
soul. Meets up with Sonya Blade, and she's like, "Here's the theory. Here's the whatever." And he's like, "In a tournament called Mortal Kombat." And Cole's like, "You just made that part up, right? Look, they didn't even spell it right." Which I was
Yeah.
like, I appreciate like the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. It was fun enough. It was a little bit funny, and they kind of poked fun. I'm like, yeah, this is, I liked it. I thought they played it right.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
And that's where we get
You're right.
introduced to Kano, who is the source of about 45 of the 53 F words. When Kano started, I was like, I'm not into this guy. I think by the end, I was like, oh, Kano's doing a great job on this movie. And watching it a second time, I think I really honed in on him. I liked him. I thought he did a good job. And so Kano, the whole thing is Kano's like a mercenary, and he killed someone else with like the chosen dragon mark. People with the dragon mark are the chosen ones to fight in Mortal Kombat. So he got the mark because he killed someone who had it. And so he's like, oh, well, where's your dragon mark? And so he's like, I don't have one. And you see your Kano in the back and go, wah, wah. Kano did a great job.
He did.
He brought a good energy in. Because I think it was not too serious, but it was like a little bit more heavy-handed. And then by the time once Kano rolls up, you're like, oh, now we're just having a good time. This is good.
Yeah. He's good comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
With a twist.
Okay. So in the original Mortal Kombat, I think Reptile is like a hidden fighter that you do like a special. And I think later in the games, he's like a character.
Mm-hmm.
What is the deal? Original Mortal Kombat and this one both have Reptile in them.
Yeah.
And this one, it's not even like the human Reptile. It's just like, oh, there's the Reptile version of it.
Well, he stands up, but that's how he is in the movie.
But he's also like a green ninja dude.
Yeah. But I think the current game, right, I think that's what he is. He's like a bipedal lizard.
Yeah. Because in the game, there's ones where he's like the green ninja version. Sub-Zero. You have Sub-Zero, you have Scorpion, they're all the same iteration, just like different color. So he's like the green one, and he has like acid spit. So I just thought it was interesting that they got... I read at one point that Rain was in the script as well. He's another one of the ninja. He's the purple.
Purple.
He's purple in something. I think I can't be Lucas Sub-Zero is. Anyway, but then he didn't stay in. I just thought it was interesting that Reptile's always in the movies.
Everybody loves him. Everybody loves Reptile. You know it. You loved him. He was your favorite character. I'm looking at him to see what he is in the current game.
I also had an epiphany watching this. I realized that Kano is just Deadpool plus Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
He's just the merging of those two. Yeah. And I actually think the guy who plays Kano was in a series about the guy who plays Crocodile Dundee. So it kind of makes sense. Josh Lawson, and he is in a series called Hogs for Paul Hogan.
Oh.
Yeah, Paul Hogan, the Crocodile Dundee, that guy. You know that guy. We all know him, we all love him.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a picture. It has all of... No, that just switched to Scorpion. Why is the... The Reptile one doesn't have the newest games, but that is like, do you want to see Scorpion in all the games? Or Sub-Zero in all the games? And I'm like, no, I want to see Reptile in all the games. It's fighting me, is what I'm saying. It's really fighting me. He does get slowly more and more Lizard Man. He goes from the dude, probably the same guy who did the capture for Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
I think that's
just in a green.
Yeah, instead. I think that's the vision.
You know what? He may have always been wearing the green, and they just keyed it to different colors.
Yeah.
That's how you save money. That's how you save precious budget.
I did think it was interesting. So the director, I think this is his first movie. I think maybe the director had done like a Mortal Kombat short, which is why he had some interest, or that was another person who didn't end up doing it. Anyway, one of the writers is his first project, and then the other writer worked on Wonder Woman 84, Godzilla, Zombieland 2, Expendables. So pretty interesting. The original Doom. So interesting career. And there was one guy who worked on Cloverfield Paradox, Jump 22 Jump Street, a couple others. So got there.
Yeah. All right. Here's what I've learned about Reptile. He looks like a lizard, but this is the most lizard he's ever looked.
Cool. I want to play Mortal Kombat now, but I don't have any Mortal Kombat games. So
yeah,
it's hard. Life is hard.
I've got 10, but I've never played it. You know, Mortal Kombat's one of those games that it's a lot. It's a lot compared to other fighting games.
You want to play Tell Me What This Note Is?
Yes. Absolutely.
Count 2, 3? Question mark? Count 2, 3.
Was somebody supposed to count to 3? Did they not count to 3? Are you saying they didn't know how to count to 3?
I don't know.
Did they do a thing? 1, 2, 3. Then something happened?
I don't know. I'm very upset about it.
Tell me, what was the note right before it?
Kano is just Deadpool and Crocodile Dundee.
So it had to be something in that fight with Reptile, right?
Maybe. Oh, Kano rips out Reptile's heart.
Yeah.
And then draws a cartoon of himself ripping out Reptile's heart. It's like, I'm working on a graphic novel or whatever.
I did like that. That was really funny.
That was good.
I liked when Sonya Blade's throwing the knives and then she just hucks one of them right at his leg. He's like, you did that. Later, he's like, you threw a knife in my leg on purpose. And she's like, yes, but.
Oh, man. It was good. So they do the pair up. They make it over to the middle of nowhere. And they're like, all right, because Kano's like, oh, I've run guns through, Raiden's temple or whatever.
Yeah.
So funny. They're like, all right, she's like, there's like 25 kilometers away. He's like, 25 is like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe closer to 28. I guess 32 just to be safe. You know what? If we say 35, there'll be no surprises. That's so good. And then, so Liu Kang shows up, who is so well cast in this movie, I thought. Because he was like the mainstay of the original movies. And I thought he was pretty well cast. But this dude, I thought, did a great job. And it's so funny because he's like, I'm not your enemy. I'm, shoots at a fireball, whatever. Kano's all. I was like, oh, that's cool. I want that. Anyway, Liu Kang like puts his hand on Kano's shoulder's like, there's much to learn. And Kano's like, the F? It's just, I don't know. Kano really, the middle act really was just livened up by him, Yeah. And he brought it all together.
He's constantly wanting his superpowers.
Yeah. So let's see. They're in the temple. They're learning about history, like what's going on. They're like, you got to find your Akana, your special power you get from being a dragon chosen dude. So, it's going to be hard, whatever. They have Jax there. They're trying to like mend him up. And let me tell you, Jax almost got killed twice. Okay. First, Sub-Zero ripped his arms off. Second, he comes out of a coma and Sonya Blade is like, hey, buddy. I'm like, oh, just friend zone that man. You just put him right back down again, Yeah. Why you got to do that? Why do you think Jax is out here chasing down Dragonborn dudes? He's obviously in love with Sonya Blade, right?
Yes.
Anyway, if I got out of a coma and I got friend zoned that hard, I mean, I don't know. I'd go right back into the coma.
And then he's got his spindly little arms.
Oh.
Which, okay, here's the thing. He got his skinny little arms. They're like, you gotta want it. You gotta have the strength. They're robot arms. I mean, he has very little control over their strength. They're mechanical arms.
Uh-huh.
And then he finds his strength and they get big boy arms. Yeah. And I'm like, so these douchebag monks just gave him weak arms until he found his inner strength.
That's the thing about the monks, though, is they're all just like, find your arcana. All right, I don't know, punch him so that the pain can bring out his arcana. That didn't work. All right, darn. Let me insult him until his arcana. Like, these monks are bullies. That's what we learned. Look, eventually their methods work for most of them, but, it doesn't come easy.
So here's my question to you, though.
Yeah.
Because Jax never finds his superpower. He just got robot arms. So did they just be like, let the monks do their thing? And then they're like, they installed robot arms. And then they're just going to poke their heads in like, we didn't do anything. Those just grew out of his stubs. And that's his power. Or is it that he had robot arms and Kano just had a laser eye implant in the original games and in the current games? And in this one, they're like, no, they come from within.
Well, it seems like in some of the designs I've seen of Kano, like in the original movie, it looks much more like, oh, I've got like a robot eye, you know? So
that's what it is. He's got like a thing on his head.
A metal plate, like on where his eye is.
And also Sonya Blade's thing is not laser arms, it's guns. That's her power, is guns.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's
just like a special forces.
Yeah, she just has guns, and she'll whip them out when you do a special and shoot somebody. So, which maybe in the newer games, she does laser arms.
I wonder. See, I'm about to go down the hole. So Liu Kang, I thought it was well cast. He was cool. Obviously a great martial artist. Not super intimidating. Then he takes his shirt off. Ooh. Tiny. I've never seen a man so small and like slender frame to be so shredded. He was like beyond Bruce Lee, tiny man shredded. It was incredible. It was something to behold. It changed my whole perspective on him as a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was just good stuff. Like, he's the kind of shredded that you can see the individual muscle fibers underneath his skin.
Oh, yeah. It was, yes. I saw a video of a dude at a gym who was like that kind of like the stringy kind of, little like sinewy, stringy kind of ripped. Where like, and that kid was like, yeah, I'm on a carnivore diet.
Yeah.
It's like, I literally only eat meat. I was like, you're a scary man. He's also like 5'6" and like bulky shredded, but also like sinewy.
There's a fun fact for you. I've never told you this before. It's going to blow your mind.
What?
I knew a small child growing up that looked like that. Because he had a genetic disorder that his muscles were just that.
Yeah. I've heard a story about this because there was like a famous track star who like everyone was like, you're roiding. You're on steroids. And she's like, nope, this is just how I'm built. And it's true. There's like a certain gene. And This American Life did a story about it because there's someone with like a genetic issue where like she's like in a wheelchair. So she doesn't have like use of a lot of her muscles. And she saw the track star and was like, that's me. Like I have the same, she's not buff ripped, but she has like that sinewy whatever. And they hooked up and like did like genetic testing, DNA testing and stuff, and they found like the gene where it's like, oh yeah, you've got a mutation in this gene that causes like this kind of muscle growth. And in one, it became like a superpower kind of thing where it's like, oh, she got bulky, really strong, great for whatever sport she had done. And the other one is just like, oh, well, you've got like the bad version of it where it's like, oh, you lose a lot of access to some of your muscles. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. This little kid was just a ripped child.
Wow. Like that baby Hercules. Remember that guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, he frightened many parents. Many adults were scared of his power.
Mm-hmm.
My parents said apparently even when he was like a baby that you still had to hold, you could still see his muscles.
Really?
And then when he's a toddler, he's just walking around looking like a bodybuilder.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You just like wear extra clothes? Like just
I don't know. I assume he's just probably living a normal life now. Or he's a supervillain or a superhero. I don't know. I feel like those, you're either super normal or you're not.
That's true.
I met a guy once that was like that, but it was because him and his family, his brothers and his dad were super health crazy, and he had Crohn's disease that would put him in the hospital, but he was shredded.
Oh.
He was a missionary.
Wow.
He's a big boy. Like, if he flexed too hard, he could pop the buttons on his shirt. So people asked him to flex. He's like, I don't want to break my shirt. So
nice.
Yeah. I
found Sonya Blade's fatality.
Tell me.
Or some of them. But you can see, she does have in some of the early games, she's got like a purple thingy.
Oh, I see it. I see the purple thingy.
It's not quite the same rings thingy, but it does have like a purple.
It's a kiss.
Yeah.
And then they die.
Yeah.
Because they all want to bone Sonya Blade. Right?
Sure. I mean, Jax does. Friend zoned. He's out of here.
Hey, buddy, friend, pal.
Hey, buddy. Stop. Poor guy.
Me and Cole have started hooking up. That's a lie.
Oh. Some more Kano.
Tell me.
They're in the pit, trying to like spar, see what they've got, unlock their Liu Kang does like a leg sweep, knocks him on his butt.
Classic.
Gets up, he's like, whatever, okay, cute move. Leg sweep again. He's like, is that the only move you know? Goes through the leg sweep. Kano jumps up. It was a fake. Kano lands. Does the leg sweep again. That's so good.
It's such a... I felt such a classic connection to like all the people that would just mash the leg sweep move. And like screaming at them to stop. They're cheating and you hate them. Man.
So good. Let's see. We get to meet a lot of the bad dudes from Outworld. They have some classics.
Yeah.
Goro's there. What's the name of the fast moving guy with like the, what's his name?
Cabal. Here's my thing. I made a list. This made me laugh. I tried to control myself so you wouldn't notice.
Why?
And then I wrote the note. Because he's like, Cabal, General Reiko. We've all come here to, but it sounds like he's going to say third. So in my mind, he went Cabal, General Reiko, Phil. Just like a normal third.
It's probably Rain. That's where they're like, Rain. I'm like, oh crap, he got edited out. What are we going to do? Oh man.
But yeah, I wanted him to say something super normal.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
There's like, 6, 7, 10 fighters somewhere in there?
Yeah.
Who's the worst one?
The worst one?
Your least favorite character fighter in the movie. I want to see if we're on the same page.
My least favorite or the weakest of all the fighters?
Your least favorite. Should we say it on 3? Ready? Or do you have it? Cast your mind's eye back to 20 minutes ago when we were watching the movie. Who's the one where you're like, I could do without you? If I had to cut anybody.
Did I say something? Or
no. I'm just wondering if you're on the same lines. Are you ready?
Freaking out, and I feel called out. I feel on the spot. If I had to get rid of any one of them, I don't. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
General Reiko.
Yeah. Because I was like, who's useless? And I was like, oh yeah, the guy with the hammer that I forgot about till just now.
Yeah. He was like, I don't know. I didn't play the game Reiko is in. And so I'm just like, this dude has no person. He's just like a big dude with a hammer, but like, and a dumb face, which I'm sure was, in fact, let's just look up General Reiko and see what he's doing. But yeah, I was like, everyone else is pretty well cast, pretty cool, on point. Then General Reiko, I was kind of like, you're the only one that's like taking away from the movie for me.
This is the part that infuriated me about him. Now that you've cast my mind back to 20 minutes ago. They say his name when they're introducing the bad guys.
Uh-huh.
And then they all fight and he doesn't say a word. You see him swing his hammer like twice, and that's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like picking their opponents, and Jax is like, give me Reiko. And I'm like, how do you know his name is Reiko? When did you talk to him? How is there a score to settle? Because it seems mostly like you got beat in the shuffle of people moving around.
Right.
Not like you fought him to the death and he won. Right? Like,
no, you're right. You're right about that.
So it just was like, everybody else is like, I have a score to settle with this one. I want this one. Give me this guy. And he's like, I want Reiko. And they're like, and it's almost like the writer's like, oh gosh, who do we pair Jax with? Someone useless and dumb from the other side.
Right.
Reiko.
Man. I'm trying to find, like, first off, his design is way better in the game.
Yeah.
I thought everyone was really well designed, and they did a good job of, like, because it's so hard to take something from a video game. Like, okay, let's make it realistic in a movie and not make it look dumb. And I thought they did a great job making costumes look good and interpreting everybody's design, except for probably Reiko.
Yeah. Reiko, I mean, they can go so much more over the top in the game, you know, and really lean into it. But yeah, it does seem weird that he's just like, he's a buff dude with the shoulder pads and the spikes and the hair, like where you've got the mohawk, but it's pulled back into a ponytail. And then they're like, all right, I know the perfect guy to play this. He looks like a thumb. We're going to put him in real floppy leather stuff and give him like a piece of rock on the end of a stick.
Yeah.
And they're like, I feel like at some point one of the writers should have been like, I feel like we're talking about different characters.
Yeah, because I'm even looking at his just like normal page, and he almost looks like he could be like a Marvel villain or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like in a Batman and something. And so I feel like they were not faithful to the video game. For everyone else, it seemed like they were, except for him. Like, look at this picture.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at.
This is a whole other dude that they cast. Like, this guy has, like, the Batman kind of eyeliner, you know? Like, whatever. He's got, like, a flat top. He's got armor on. And they were like, what if he was bald? Nothing really on his face except for, like, some random blue lines. And he doesn't seem to speak, and he grunts. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And instead of giving him, like, the cool Warhammer type of thing, we'll just give him the...
Like a big mallet.
Yeah, a big mallet.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I mean...
Yeah.
His head was just going to get exploded anyway, so... It's fine, I guess. I thought it was interesting. So, Cole doesn't get his Akana, because Raiden's like, all right, you suck. Get out of here. I do think it was funny, though, like, you're a liability if you don't have your Akana. It's like, well, doesn't he have to fight in the tournament either way? Anyway, so Raiden, like, go back to your family. You suck. Cast down lightning, and he's like, all right, go back to your family. It didn't seem like he really established, walk into the lightning, it's a portal. It seemed like he was like, lightning, all right, go back to your, like, oh, I walk into it? Like, are you sure? That never happened.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny. I was like, you didn't
that was all
tell him how this
explained
works.
off screen. All right.
They're
like, you know, people hate exposition. So we'll give the characters all the exposition off screen.
Oh, yeah.
So as soon as it cut away to something else and they were introducing General Kano and Phil, you know, Raiden's like, all right, I need to give you guys the rundown on some lore-based stuff so that you know and the audience doesn't have to deal with it.
So, yeah. Cole goes back to his family, and of course, Shao Tsung is like, is that Shen Tsung?
Shane Sun.
Shane's son.
Here that brings me to my
Shen
note.
Tsung.
I'm so mad they didn't cast, or they didn't get Kari Hiroyuki
Who's that, though?
Tagawa,
Yes. Who?
the guy that played them in the old movies.
In the old movie, yeah. That guy, he was good for like a sort of campy villain, but I do think the character design was great.
He's like,
where he's got the top knot, you know, and the long hair.
yeah.
I feel like it was good. Goro sends Goro to go take care of Cole Young, which Goro's like, when I was like 5, I got to Goro at one point. I was a 5-year-old playing Mortal Kombat, mashed my way all the way to Goro. So tells you everything you need to know.
And
on
Goro,
Sega Genesis.
ooh, on
Yeah.
the Genesis, so
Yeah.
you got all the blood.
Yeah. So, my brother like walked in, and I was like that. He's like, how did you get to Goro?
Then Goro destroyed you
yeah.
in 2 hits.
For sure.
Here, I just referenced the Sega Nintendo, you know, thing where it's like the one The Sega version got the blood, the other ones didn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want to know. We know they're all into the different versions of movies on the HBO Max. Are they going to do a Nintendo rated game? Or a Nintendo rated movie?
Better question. Are they going to release the original cut, which came back at NC-17 rating?
Of this movie?
This movie, they made it. They went to get it rated. They're like, yeah, that's an NC-17. And they're like, cool. Hey, man, can you help me re-edit this? Because we have to take some stuff out. So they had to dial it back, which I was like, what did they have in here before?
I mean, at that point, wouldn't you just do and get it not rated and release it as a director's cut or something like that? Because just change like
but
one thing.
To get it released in theaters, you have to get it MPA rated.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They do it in like a year or something. And then,
yeah, I'm sure they would release like the box set unrated version of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody's pushing out an NC-17 movie into theaters. So.
Oh no. I've never seen a theater play. I see it on the sign all the time, but there's never one.
Oh, I think it's only specific theaters that'll do it. I think like national movie chains won't do it. It's like there are very few theaters that actually even play NC-17 movies.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird thing.
I just remember at the AMC scene that like these are the ratings.
Oh yeah,
like
it's on the
sign.
list because it's one of the MPA ratings, but no major change is ever going to play in NC-17. Also, nobody really makes them.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're not being released in theaters. So it's weird.
Yeah. I know because I asked somebody,
Mm-hmm.
one of my friends who was super into movies before I cared about them at all. I was like, what are they? Because in my mind, I'm like, at that point, what? It's a snuff film or porn, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, it's mostly horror movies, like foreign horror movies.
Yeah. Like The Shining, I think. Might have, maybe The Shining, or maybe they didn't. But, there were like things they were going to put in it, and they're like, this is just too much blood. Or, oh, no, the example I'm thinking of is it's Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2, where they were like, yeah, that's too much blood. They're like,
yeah.
What if we made it black and white? Because, like, the red blood is one thing. So I was like, oh, if you did it black and white, this is not the color of blood. That tones it down, which I think is why Kill Bill has a couple sequences where it's like, all right, it's black and white for the next 2 minutes. So we can show all this stuff.
Which we talked about that, when it's in the restaurant. Where it would have been like a horrific scene, but it's black and white, so it's not as bad.
So that's the thing you use black and white for. Flashbacks, you're trying to get out of an NC-17 rating, but still want to keep that segment in the movie. Anyway, they massacre Goro. There's a good little fight with Goro. They go back and forth, but that's how Cole gets his Akana, because Goro's going to kill his family, and, he's like, oh, family, whatever. Family. Fast and Furious, we all know
his
it.
Ohana.
So he
got his Kana by saving his Ohana. That's what I was going for. That's what I was going for. In case you missed it.
Oh man. So he gets it. So I've helped him fight Goro a little bit. They kind of saved each other. But when they finally kill Goro, which it makes Goro's like the CG, all CG character, gets like a cut in his middle. And then he stabs through his eye, and you're like, oh, okay, he stabbed him through the eye, that's how he dies. But as he falls to his knees, his like intestines fall out of that like cut in his gut. They got him.
He stabs him through the eye with the dull thing too. He has a blade and then a stick, and he stabs him with the stick.
Yeah,
which is aggressive.
He kind of got. Goro's like one of the boss guys. They killed him.
Yeah,
they really did him in.
That was the whole thing in the first movie, right? That Goro was like Shane's enforcer.
That's like his champion. He's like Shane. He's like champion of champions. He's like, oh yeah, you may get through some of my other guys. You're not getting through Goro.
Yeah.
Because Goro, I think he'd won a previous tournament, and he was like on one of the murals of the temple, like ripping someone in half. So.
Oh yeah. And then because that's when Kano's like, no, this is more my speed. Mm-hmm. It's like, you want to get ripped in half, Kano? Because that's what's going to happen. That's what happened when I play as Kano against Goro. Get ripped in half. Kano sucks.
So Shao Tsung recruits Kano to break the barrier so they can get in the temple. They do their big fight. Everyone gets their Arcana. You're like, oh, sweet. That's cool. What?
I forgot his name, and I can confirm you definitely said it backwards.
Kang Lee? Liu Kang?
No. The bad boy. Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung. It's hard.
It's hard.
Names are hard.
It's not it doesn't sound like it'd be as hard as it is.
Oh, but it is. So, there's some good fights in there. I think my favorite of that sequence is the flawless victory.
Yeah.
It's not Liu Kang. Kang Sung?
No, it's Kung Lao.
Kung Lao.
Yeah.
It's his flawless victory. Saws the winged lady in half.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I liked because the new fatalities in the new games are really popular. So I liked that they used those.
Yeah.
Because you got to see him at like I said, turned up to that next level of graphicness.
Mm-hmm.
Get the murder boner,
Oh, yeah.
Like, who was it that got the hole blasted in him and you can see their spine? Is when
the lady with the fang lady who opens her mouth up, rips her mouth open.
Yeah.
That lady.
Yeah,
Let's see, Sonya Blade kills Kano. She gets her dragon mark, gets her a Kano.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So I like that fight sequence. Or maybe that was the next fight sequence, right? Anywho, Kung Lao.
Yeah.
So hard. Gets his soul sucked though.
Oh, he does. He gets it sucked hard.
Mm-hmm. It's a bummer.
Yeah. I do like how I like that they included all those, the classic lines like "Your soul is mine" and the flawless victory.
Kano wins. They stuck in a lot of, which is cool. I like when they do that. You kind of have to, right?
Yeah.
If not, the fans get upset.
Yeah. I like they did it, but it wasn't as like egregious as some like the original movies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Where they're like, just have the announcer from the games say it out of just say it over the movie.
Yeah.
And this one, they're like, have the characters say it like a taunt.
Yeah. So that's the end of that fight. Raiden sucks everyone back into the void.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, they're fighting Daredevil. We got to fight Daredevil. Let's get them one-on-one. We'll do our thing. We'll all fight Sub-Zero at the end. Plan, ready, go.
Here's what I wanted on these next fight things. I liked that they sent them to stages from the games.
Yeah.
Thought that was really cool.
Well, the bummer about this movie for me, I wanted to just see the tournament. I wanted to see Mortal Kombat tournament. And about halfway through, I was like, they're not going to make it to the tournament. Like, darn. And they even say, like, there won't be another full moon before. I was like, so the tournament's around the corner.
Yeah.
But instead, the movie's just leading up to it. So I like that at the end they did work that in. So like, 1v1 fights on a stage. Boom. Here we go. Yeah.
And, but what I wanted, and this is dumb, they would have never done it, but I was like, when I saw the stage, part of me was like, are two of the characters going to square off and then like crouch or something?
Yeah.
And to be like, come on, do that.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's like any time you play the game online, that's like you crouch, another player crouches, crouch, fight.
Yeah. Oh man.
I was like, it would have been too dumb, but it would have been really funny.
Yeah.
Maybe that's in the NC-17 cut.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can't teabag in once you teabag, it goes to NC-17.
Maybe that's what
the rules.
Maybe Kano did some teabagging.
So I did think it was funny, like, you go, Sonya Blade, you go fight Kano. And Cole is like, he's got a laser eye. Watch out for that. Like, Cole, the most obvious advice. Like, it's not good. Like, it's true, but it's terrible advice. Like, just so you know, he's going to try to kill you. So watch out for that.
Yeah.
Like, what? I just thought that was funny.
It did make me realize, though, I was like, oh, yeah, Kano's just, she's already whooped him.
She's already beat him, yeah.
All he has is the laser eye.
Yeah, yeah.
And all she's got to do is not get hit by the eye.
Uh-huh.
And she'll be fine.
Oh, that was funny. She killed him with the garden gnome that he spat on at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
A lot of people getting stabbed through the eye with stuff.
Yeah. It's a good way to do it. It's a good entry point. Soft.
Yeah. I also just realized that I don't know why I didn't pick up on this during the movie, but they never did that. Like a big thing that's become popular in the last 2 or 3 games has been the X-ray. Like when you connect a blow and it does the X-ray.
They did show the one lady's spine because she shoots through it,
Yeah, but that's a fatality in the game.
Right.
So that's
they didn't do the X-ray thing where you see the bone breaking or whatever.
That may have, because I know bone breaking violence, like bone crunching violence, is like a whole separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's one of the many things that they're like, this is pushing us.
But
too
I
far.
almost feel like showing it extra would make it less severe, right? Because if I see someone's armor and I see it like actually snap out of place, you're like, oh, that's too realistic. But if you're like, oh, here's an extra of the bone snapping, you're like, oh, maybe that makes it better. I don't know, maybe not.
I guess it depends on how like realistic looking they made everything.
Yeah, so that is interesting. It
feels like the kind of thing that got brought up at least while they were planning scenes and everything.
Yeah. So everyone beats their guy.
Yeah,
but then Sub-Zero kidnaps Cole's family, so he gets looped into fighting Sub-Zero by himself. He uses Hanzo's kunai, which brings Scorpion into that last fight, which I thought was really cool. I like that they made Scorpion a good guy.
Yeah.
That was pretty rad. I thought the design for Scorpion was great too. Just the Scorpion Sub-Zero costumes, both really good, like realistic renditions of what those costumes were. Yeah. And I like that they kind of made them different. We're like, oh, Scorpion's kind of got the hood. Sub-Zero's got more of the classic, just like head mask thingy.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about that being in the original one. Scorpion was one of the bad guys that worked for Shane.
Right, because all those ninjas work for Shane. Reptile, Rain, they're just like, oh, these are my ninjas. This is their outfit. They all get to pick a color. He's purple, he's green, he's blue, he's yellow. There's a red guy or something.
Yeah, and then just having but yeah, I think it's the same. I want to play 11 now because I think he might be one of the good guys in the new storyline they did that reset everything. This 11 Aftermath is resetting the world again.
Yeah, because the video I watched of all the lore, it's like, oh yeah, here's a tournament. And then we start getting into time heists. Where it's like, oh, this person uses their power to reset the thing that makes Eltriot's map. Like he dies, oh, he comes back as a zombie, we did this, we reset the timeline. Now it's like, oh, now we got to go back before that, so yeah, it's very time heisty and kind of is like resetting itself here and there. It's interesting.
So you watched the thing. Is Scorpion one of the Earth Realm champions in the new one?
In the new one?
In the new storyline?
I don't know if they got into that detail. See, because that's like they say he goes to Nether Realm, which is a different realm, which in theory would fight in the tournament.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means exactly.
Yeah. Who knows? Nobody knows.
Yeah. But I love the fight between Scorpion and Sub-Zero is really cool. Cole helps him out. It's great ice effects. Scorpion doing his get over here line and using his kunai, and it was a really good fight. And I didn't realize the guy who plays Sub-Zero is from the Raid. He's one of the Raid guys.
Yeah,
which is really neat. The guys who play Kung Lao and Liu Kang, they're actually both on Jackie Chan's stunt team.
Yeah,
which is like Chan's family group, I think is what he calls it, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. I recognized him because every so often I succumb to Netflix's constantly shoving, ninja movies down my throat.
Yes.
And I feel like I've seen him in some of the higher quality ones.
Yeah.
Not the lower quality ones though. But those are a treasure. Sometimes. You got the chance, check them out. They're good stuff.
The guy who plays Liu Kang, which once again is like one of my favorite people, I think.
Yeah.
Who was Liu Kang. He was like a huge fan of Mortal Kombat growing up. He even said he skipped school to watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation in theaters.
Nice.
I thought that was really neat.
Bet you he didn't regret that choice at all. Not even a little bit.
You don't need math when you can punch and kick and jump really good.
I thought you don't need math when you got muscles. Who needs numbers when you can just punch a nerd? You should not
be allowed to be that lean and also that shredded at the same time.
Yeah. It's like Jet Li or Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, yeah.
Bruce Lee. Jet Li got a little tubby at the end there.
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
That's why you got to die young as a hero.
Like Bruce Lee.
Like Bruce Lee.
Who didn't he die from being too buff and shredded?
I forget what he died from.
I don't know. Probably something boring and dumb and super bummerific, like colon cancer or something.
Or got shot by the CIA. All right.
He's on the sub with Elvis and Hitler and Steve Jobs.
A brain edema caused by reaction to prescription painkiller.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Bruce Lee. I watched my first Bruce Lee movie a couple months ago.
What?
It's pretty good.
He's so fast. Other fighters, they speed up the film. They had to slow it down.
They said that for the guy who played Kung Lao. They're like, you got to slow down because we cannot capture what we need to on film.
Yeah, like
So,
the cameras
too
are
fast for this movie. There's gonna be effects. You gotta dial it back a touch.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
that is fun.
I like the final fight. I like they're like, all right, there's more work to do. We got to find more. They're like, okay, we won this round. We got to find the next sequel. I'm wondering, is the sequel going to be like, hey, the tournament's about to start? Or are they like, well, we beat Outworld in the tournament, and all we needed to do was not lose to Outworld in the tournament. So maybe they'll skip over the tournament. I like at the end they tease that he's like, oh, I'm done. Cole Young's like, I'm done fighting. Got to go to Hollywood. And they tease Johnny Cage. One of the original fighters. So that's cool. I hope they do another movie. I hope they do like a whole trilogy. Like, I just wonder, will they do one that's actually the tournament now? Was that the next one, or is that, but it's like the timeline they set up makes it like, oh, well, you got like a month till the next tournament?
I think
you're not even going to fight in the tournament now.
I think the next one's going to be in a tournament, because that's what Raiden said is now you guys need to find the other champions. There's still, like, I'll prepare another list of champions. You got to find them.
I just think it's funny. Like, it's such a video game thing where it's like, we just kind of threw the plot together. We were trying to make this game, like an old video game before like plots were really big. Because it's like, if you lose 10 in a row, you're like, who's losing 10 tournaments? I get the Outworld fights dirty. That's how they win their tournaments. But it's kind of funny. We're like, oh, we're 9 tournaments deep and, like 10. Well, who picked 10? If you get one tournament, don't you conquer them, or 3 or 5? 10. That's so many.
Yeah. It's all about, that's why I said, the Elder Gods just said Mortal Kombat and then left. And Raiden's like, what? I
do think it was funny that, because I was even watching the movie and I was like, oh, he's kind of like Gandalf. And then Kano like mockingly calls him Gandalf. I was like, hey, he exactly is Gandalf. He's like, look, I can't fight for you guys, but let me try to help you out where I can.
Yeah, I do like that, because I've always been worried, because I know Raiden is a character you can fight as in the games.
Yeah.
But
I like, by the lore, he is.
Yeah, he's one
just
of the
a protector, elder god of the Earth realm.
Yeah, like his job is to be there to make sure the rules are kind of followed. Mm-hmm. And killing each other outside of the tournament is not against the rules. So all he can do is throw up a shield.
Yeah.
But if he wanted to, he could kill all of them in that other realm. But then the Elder Gods would, I don't know, probably be pissed. Here's my problem.
Well, one of the timelines is he messes with time to go back in time to change one of the tournaments. The Elder Gods are like, not cool. We don't like you anymore. We're going to come destroy you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And then it causes some other, like, bigger ramifications, too, right? When they go back.
Something like that.
Here's always my problem with that kind of thing where it's like, oh, the gods decreed this, but they're too lazy from stopping me from breaking the rules. But if you break the rules,
right,
they will murder you.
Yeah.
And it's like, why don't they stop both of you?
It's like people who get in trouble at school for defending themselves against the bully. You're like, bro, what? Get the bully in trouble. I don't understand.
Yeah. I had to give those trainings and stuff when I was an HR person at a factory with adults. And I had to listen to our HR manager when someone's like, what happens if somebody hits me? He's like, well, come and tell me. What happens if they're beating me? Don't hit them back or you'll both get fired. Mm-hmm. When in reality, if you hit somebody at work, you're both getting fired. So if you don't like a guy and you got another job lined up, run up and sucker punch him.
See, this is why the only true law is Mortal Kombat. Right? That is what we need to look. I'm sick of us being involved in all these wars overseas. There's 200 some odd recognized countries in the world. Let's just set up a tournament.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Our champion, Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a better way to do it. You pick it. They did it in the Old Testament with David and Goliath. They did it in that Timothy Chalamet movie, The King. We can do this. We can set this up. Cold War, Schmold War. Let's get Rocky. Let's get Dolph Lundgren. And boom. Let's settle it that way.
Dr. Dolph Lundgren?
Mm-hmm. Dr. Dolph.
Dr. Dolph.
So, yeah, I enjoyed the movie. If you're just looking for a fun action blockbuster, something you can just pop your mind off and enjoy some fun, over the top, tiny shredded men, do it. I'm all for it. What did we miss? Are you gonna recommend this movie?
I am. I like this one. It's one.
Not for the faint of heart.
So
I would not
good.
show this to a child.
Well, would you show it to a grandparent?
Yeah.
Would
Oh
you,
yeah.
Would you try desperately to convince your in-laws to watch?
Well, that's funny. Her dad was like, "Oh yeah, we're trying to see it on Tuesday." It's like, okay, there we go.
Nice.
Well, even though Bailey doesn't do R-rated movies, I think her family does.
Oh, okay.
I think.
My wife
There's
doesn't
some-
do R-rated movies, but she's like, this one seems fine. I'm like, this one's aggressive.
Yeah, it is fun. It's just so funny. It goes to show that like a rating isn't everything. It's about how it's in the way that you use it.
Yeah.
You know, how are you wielding your R rating?
Yeah. Like, if you were to compare this to John Wick and I were to ask you which one's more violent.
I mean, John Wick is.
Yeah.
There's a higher body count. It's more realistic action, right? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
I
This
would
is more
say-
violent. This is more graphically violent and smaller spurts. What are you saying?
I would say this one, they're like, all right, you're going to get cut with the sword and blood's going to go flying, but you're fine. That's just what happens when you get cut with the sword.
Uh-huh.
We're doing video game logic. Whereas something like John Wick, which has a similar, I'm sure, like violence rating on those like parental guide websites, is like,
Yeah.
all right, you get shot in the head. Your brain, bone, blood, your left eyeball, they're getting splattered against the wall and you're dead.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
That kind
That scene in John Wick where they're just throwing dull knives at each other over and over again.
like,
That's not happening in this movie.
Yeah.
Knives are sharp and there's fewer of them.
yeah, they're super sharp. So there's a lot of blood, but it's not as much damage. I don't know if you've ever cut yourself with a scalpel on accident,
Mm.
but I have. And you don't know until it hits the bone.
Oh. Yeah.
I didn't get that deep. My brother did. Ever told you about this? Gutting a deer.
Oh no.
And then he's like, oh well, okay. He kept going. He pulls his hand out, wash his hand. Oh, that's still blood. And he like slashed his finger down to the bone.
No.
And then he's a nurse, right? He got the big brain. So he's like, you know, in the army, we have basically super glue
Yeah.
to close wounds. I've got super glue.
Oh no.
He's like, I don't know what they take out of super glue.
The deepest burning sensation you can get in your
Yeah.
finger.
Yeah. He's
Oh,
like,
man. It's like the stinging from an alcohol pad times like what, 5? What would
Oh.
you say?
I think he's like, I thought my finger was on fire.
Oh my god.
He's like, it's so bad.
But did it work?
It did work. I think he had to remove it, which also hurt, and then stitched it up. But
Ah, yikes.
so
But
now
anyway.
he has like a thing of the actual stuff that he carries with him.
Wow.
But yeah. So don't put super glue in a wound. Put tape on it before you put super glue
Yeah.
into it.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I dig. I mean, it's definitely much better than the original. You know, the first movie they made. It's more true to the series. Great music.
I like that they didn't make it Cole's outfit CG.
Oh,
feel like that
I
would've
didn't
been-
even think about that. Yeah.
I feel like there could have been the temptation to do that and like have it writhe or something. Like it
Yeah.
was, or like have parts of it as he got hit disappear or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they were like, nope, it's a shirt.
Yeah.
It's armor. They learned. I don't know whoever did Green Lantern learned.
Person has been sacked and replaced.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have much else to say, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was a ride. It was a journey. It was not perfect, but I think it didn't take itself seriously enough that it works on the level it needs to work on.
I hope they make a bunch of them. I hope that it's a never-ending stream of yearly Mortal Kombat movies now.
It was cool that they used a lot of like newer filmmakers and newcomers to the industry, and like it goes to show if you get the right person involved, it's not always the person that's been around forever. Oh, the guy W.S. Anderson, Paul W.S. Anderson, who made the first one, was like, I'll come back for a trilogy, or I'd come back. He's like, oh, I'd come back to direct a new one. It's like, yeah, no one's hiring you. we got better people. But
Yeah.
it is cool. I mean, Simon McQuoid, it's first feature, so.
Yeah. And Paul W.S. Anderson, he's very good at making a very particular kind of movie.
Yeah.
But they obviously wanted this to be a level above the kind of movie that he makes.
Mm-hmm.
like he nails the Resident Evil movies, but those are never going to be the best movie. They're never going to win like an Oscar.
Mm-hmm. The guy, and then James Wan was one of the producers. He directed Furious 7, and he's been producing, like, he directed the original Saw, produced a bunch of horror movies, but also directed Aquaman.
Yeah.
And one of the writers is the guy who wrote Aquaman. So it's interesting the connections kind of got made. But, like, you know, Furious 7, it's one of the good Fast and Furious movies. Aquaman's one of the good DC movies. So, you know, you get the right source material, these guys can do a good job. It's not going to be, like, artisanal, perhaps, but it is going to be, like, a crowd pleaser, get the job done, hit some of those comedic tones.
Yeah. I was going to ask, did you want to hazard a guess at...
the budget?
The budget.
Is this an 80 millionaire?
No.
How much?
55.
That's a pretty strong 55 million. Yeah. That's not that big of an investment for like the product they turned out.
I know. I was kind of amazed.
They cast it well. The costumes all worked. The effects looked great. I love when that happens. Where it's like, yeah, we didn't have to spend $200 million to make a good looking movie that people are going to want to see. Yeah,
and I think a lot of that probably comes from using the newer people. You know,
you save a lot of money that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, like, especially for martial arts movies like this, there has been a move of, well, we can just go to someone like the guys who were on Jackie Chan's stunt team, because they're going to know how to act and be incredibly good martial artists, but you don't have to pay them anywhere close to what you'd have to pay someone like Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
And they're going to be happy for the opportunity.
Imagine this movie, but Jackie Chan is Sub-Zero. You can never cover his face, I guess, is the problem, because you got to get those Jackie Chan facial expressions.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, yeah.
You know, if you had...
it's kind of like the Raid 2. We were like, look, these are great stunt people, but it's just, this is not an A-list. This is not a Tom Cruise or a Jackie Chan.
Yeah. Who is it? It's a specific stunt team that made the Raid. Who was it?
Right.
Was it just like a stunt team company, or was it a guy's stunt team?
Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. This is, I was really hoping this would be easy. A quick answer. I don't know. I thought it was like a stunt team.
It is. I thought it was the whole group, because they had all of the... There's a whole story behind the Raid. We've told it on the podcast before. I just can't remember. Of like, it was going to be a movie, but then they lost a bunch of funding, so they lost like all their big name actors, and it was the stunt team that they had left, and the stunt, like the directors and producers all basically were like, eh. So it's like the stunt coordinator was like, I'll direct it.
Yeah.
And they finished it.
I don't know. The one guy's Iko Uwais, I'm probably saying his name wrong. I'm very sorry, but he's an Indonesian actor.
Yeah.
Stuntman guy. So, I don't know. I thought he had a name like his team. Maybe it's just the kind of martial art they use, but I do know that it's like, and those are I think some of the people from that are the people that are like, all right, let's do John Wick now. And
yeah.
Some of the stunt people from John Wick are like, oh, let's do Atomic Blonde. And, so I think that like the high level, like really good stunt people are getting more and more credibility, and like sometimes they're smaller projects, but they're like beloved films like Atomic Blonde or John Wick or like this. So
yeah, it's good. I really like this movie. I'm impressed that they did as much. Like you said, so much was so
55 million. You said,
yeah,
that's kudos. Good job.
It is movies like this more so than the switching to dual releasing in theaters and on HBO are more what makes me nervous for movies like Dune.
Yeah.
Because Dune's going to be hundreds of millions, I'm sure.
Dune's probably going to be, I would guess Dune's going to be between 180 and 220. That's what I would guess. I've heard it's like got a monster budget. Yeah.
Like it's huge. And if it returns the same kind of profits that a movie like this will,
then they're going to be like, oh, I could spend 55 million on another Mortal Kombat, or I can spend 200 million on another Dune. They're going to make the same amount of money. One cost me 150 million less. So
yeah,
I'm hoping the cast, because I've heard people say, maybe it was Baylor or someone else, like, oh, I just saw the cast of Dune, I want to see it. So I'm hoping that helps a lot. It's like people who know directors are going to know Denis Villeneuve. People who know Dune are going to go see for Dune. Average Joe's going to be like, oh, Jason Momoa, Timothy Chalamet, what's his name? Not Baptiste. Bautista.
Oh, Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista's, they're going to see those names and be like, oh, I'm going to go check that out. Zendaya. Yeah. I'm hoping. Fingies crossed.
Here's the thing. I know the storyline, and I'll like look at that cast list and who they're playing, and I'm like, this is going to be some real heartbreak for some people.
Oh,
like characters
really?
who die earlier than you
man.
would want to and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be heartbreaking.
Man, it just breaks my heart that I have to wait this long for it. I've been so excited for so long. Ever since I heard about it, I was excited about it. We had to wait a whole extra year and a half or whatever.
I've been making Tiffany watch the trailers for Dune because I keep trying to find the one that was in the theater when the four of us, you and Bailey.
Where I was like, is this a new Batman movie?
Yeah, you're like, what is this? And then it's like, Pain. And I was like, it's Dune. And you're like, how? But it was just like the shot and with his hand in the box and everything. I was like, I know this.
Like, it almost makes you want to read Dune ahead of it, but part of me just wants to see Denis Villeneuve do it,
Yeah, I was going to.
See, I've heard from a friend who really likes it, and he's like, you know what? If you see any of the interpretations, then get into the book, because then you can read extra details about it.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, there's a lot to keep track of, at least in the first act of the book, but then it levels out and you can kind of track it. But
yeah, I was going to suggest you read the book, but then as I'm reading it and remembering how good it is, I'm like, yeah, it'll be better if you watch the movie first, because then if the movie falls short, that won't taint your love for it.
Yeah, I do have a hard time watching a book and reading a book.
Watching a book.
I'm watching this book and I'm like, I'm getting nothing out of this. Nothing. There's no moving pictures. There's no sound. I don't understand. I have a problem reading the book and then going to the movie because I can't. It's hard for me to separate the two.
I'll recommend to anybody the audiobook of Dune on Audible, because some of the big set piece scenes, they do a full voice cast. And like it's nice.
Mm.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm even reading the prequel books to Dune. What I'm reading, 10,000 years before Dune.
Well, watch Dune, pay for Dune, see it many times, get everyone to see it for my sake and my sake alone. And I guess the sake of Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah. Write a letter to
your
Mr.
congressman.
Warner.
Mortal Kombat was great.
So good.
Check it out. Thank you for listening. You can share us wherever you find podcasts. You can subscribe. We are opinion havers. You can yell at us on Twitter at opinion havers. You can put an arm around my back and slap me on the shoulder on Facebook. At opinion, I'm out of gas. At opinion havers. Thanks for listening. And until next time, watch movies
and have opinions.
How much do you think Mortal Kombat 11 costs?
$40 or $50.
How long do you think it would take to download on the internet?
15.
Look, we're gonna buy this game right now. I'm gonna get all my jimmies out on there, or I'm gonna start fighting some pillows. So you gotta choose.
I think you gotta download the game now.